Welcome to the Visualcast. I'm your host, Alon Hammer, aka Rem. Today on the podcast, we have Matt Mendez, Visuals, a super awesome VJ, a highly accomplished 3D designer and animator, and an all-around fun and awesome guy to talk to. For Matt's set, we jump into Resolume, and together with amazing music by Mickman, we have our first audio-visual set. This is going to happen more and more often, so like and subscribe and stay tuned. Without further ado, here's the Visualcast.
The world is like a ride at an amusement park, and it's fun for a while. Some people have been on the ride for a long time, and they begin to question, is this real or is this just a ride? And other people have remembered, and they come back to us and they say, hey, don't worry, don't be afraid, ever, because this is just a ride.
Exciting. This is one of the episodes that I've been waiting for a really long time with somebody who's a really good friend of mine and a really amazing artist that I actually look up to and really respect, inside and outside. So without further ado, I would like to welcome my good friend, Visuals, aka Matt.
Hey.
Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, what's up, man? I'm very excited. Quite the intro. I gotta say thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You're well worth the long intro. So let's just jump right into it.
Let's do it.
I have my first question is off like this. You're gonna like this. So you have played massive stages, European festivals, you've mapped Rolls Royces, you've performed on one of the biggest LED stages on the East Coast, you've made music videos and collaborated with some of the top musical acts in the bass scene and in the music scene in general. You've played visuals for the Grateful Dead, and you are mastering and perfecting your skills non-stop. I personally have seen you grow and excel at basically everything you've tried and everything you've done. I just want to ask you one question. What does it feel like hitting all your goals and living your dreams?
Yeah, do you like that one? Man, it's pretty crazy because some of the things that I've gotten to do so far are things that I really didn't ever expect to happen, like playing with Dead & Company and getting to play for 60,000 people in different arenas all over the US is something I never thought would happen. And then like getting to go out to Boom with you and getting to play in Portugal, like these are all things that I couldn't have even dreamt up of being a goal really, because it's just so awesome. I'm just very grateful for all the opportunities I've had so far. There's like millions of people to thank, and it's just been quite the journey. It's been moving along slowly but surely, but it's cool to see it grow into something. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I'd say it's definitely moving along surely more than slowly. Well, thanks for that intro. We're going to jump into a lot of things here. I'd like to go back a little bit to baby Matt, to small Matt, to Louisiana Matt. What was it like growing up in Louisiana? Like, what can you give us a little bit of insights?
So I grew up in New Jersey actually. And then I moved down to Louisiana for college and lived down there for like 7 or 8 years. And that's where I met my wife from down there. My wife is from New Orleans. And so it was a little bit of a culture clash at first when we first met, because being a New Jersey guy and a New Orleans girl, but
that's right. I got that totally mixed up. No,
she's the Louisiana one. So
I guess because you went to LSU, I think that's why I got confused with that.
Yeah, and I lived down there for quite some time. I have an honorary stamp of approval from the state of Louisiana. Okay. They said I'm okay. But
in that case, what was it like growing up in New Jersey?
So where I grew up was like suburbs. So like going to concerts and stuff was something I really didn't do growing up. I always loved music. Remember my mom took me to see Peter Frampton one time at like a balloon festival. I saw Ricky Martin. I think Ricky Martin was my first concert growing up. And I mean, besides that, I didn't really get to experience it until I was like in high school. And my brother was in college and he would bring me to go see Dave Matthews and all these bands. And it's kind of the first concerts I got to actually go to. And like, I mean, from then on, I was like, I want to be involved with concerts. I mean, it was just growing up where I did in the suburbs. It was very different from what I did on a normal weekend. Getting to see everyone come together, it was cool. But yeah, New Jersey's fun. I haven't. My mom doesn't live in my hometown anymore, so I don't get to go back there too often. But when I do, it's changing so much. Every time I go there, there's new restaurants and stuff. So it's interesting.
Do you have any? Is there anything in your visuals that stick out from your childhood experiences, or I should say that oppositely?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some of them. I mean, a lot of my stuff, I have like a whole series of like toys that are animated, just different toys that I used to play with as a kid, trying to kind of give nostalgia. Like I have like these Hungry Hippos one and a Bop It.
Oh yeah, the Hungry Hippos.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Oh yeah. So all that stuff is just things that I really liked as a kid that I can just pull out and express to other people. And yeah, I know there's definitely millions of other people that like those toys too. So I was like, this is a good thing for people to relate to. And then also, I mean, my mom, she took me to this anatomy exhibit when I was real young, and I got to see, it was like a human body exhibit where they showed the muscle and the skeletons, and it's like actual muscle and skeletons. Like they pose them in different ways, and that got me really into anatomy. And especially when I first started out, a lot of my visuals were just centered around anatomy and the different layers and how to play with them. Recently I've kind of strayed away from that, but yeah.
And you were saying concerts are one of the catalysts of you wanting to get into this kind of realm of visuals and audio reactive. Well, I shouldn't say audio responsive, audio visual experiences.
Right.
I did do a little bit of research on you, my friend, and I did see that you quoted one of your one of the concerts that you went to. I think it was Skrillex or something like that. That was like a kind of eye-opening experience that you were like, oh, I can do that.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's good. You dug deep if you found that. And it was Skrillex and Diplo.
Yeah, Skrillex and Diplo, exactly. And you played with Diplo as well.
I've played with him like 4 or 5 times now.
Hell yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, just kind of walk us through that. I know it's like a little bit of a kind of, we all kind of have that story of, I was at that show and I saw this thing, or I got introduced to this person and I'm like, oh, I could do this. Oh, I want to do this. What was what was leading up to that? Like what was kind of your, your hopes and dreams in terms of like your career path, or even maybe not so specific, more just like, you were at the concert, you were enjoying it. I want to be part of this. What was kind of the driving force of that?
Right. So, I mean, at the time, what I was doing was I was making accounting software for the federal government, oddly enough. So I was doing the complete opposite of visuals. I was a glorified CPA, basically. I was like doing taxes for them. I was doing 1099 taxes for the USDA. But so I was doing that, and I just kind of was hating my job. I had my best friend come in town, Reese, and we went to a music festival in New Orleans, Voodoo Fest. And I've had After Effects and all these programs on my computer. And I mean, between him and some of my other friends, like Alex Cybernautics, if you've heard of him, they all really helped push me into doing visuals, because I remember being there and we saw Skrillex and Diplo, and it was just a simple animation of like a wiener dog walking all prominently. But I was like, man, my buddy turned to me, he's like, yo, you could do that so easily. And I was like, yeah. And then I started making stuff at home. I started showing Alex them, Cybernautics. And then he encouraged me so much to keep doing it. my wife Marcy kept encouraging me.
We
It was
love
awesome.
Marcy.
Like everybody I kept showing stuff to was very very on my side of being like, you should pursue this. This is something you're good at. And I knew I didn't want to continue doing IT management stuff and making accounting software. So I was like, let me get out of this somehow. And yeah, I was living in DC actually, working for this job, and I was just so in my own head about the job and in a bad state mentally that my wife and I agreed. We were like, let's quit our jobs, let's move to New York because that's a place where you can pursue this visual thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
And so I quit my job, and then I've been doing this pretty much full time since then.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I had a small job here or there, but I mean, at least the past 3 years, it's been full time. It's been about 6 years of living in New York now. So
New York's great for, it's
Yeah.
visuals for sure, but just in general, it's like one of those big metropolitan cities. You really, if you have drive and you have even the slightest amount of connection, it doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something inside of
that's
the world.
it.
That's it, and talent, obviously, which is what you.
I mean, you don't
necessarily
just from
need
knowing
talent.
one. Yeah, yeah. Oddly, you don't. But I mean, just from knowing one or two people, I've gotten some incredible jobs around here. It's awesome. I've gotten to do like some Netflix jobs over here. I did one for the show Kaleidoscope. We did an episode of that. Yeah. Yes, the most overused VJ effect, as they say. But yeah, so I did that. I got to do like a Samsung commercial. There's some really cool things. I got to play in Central Park with what's his name, Guy Liberati, the owner of Circus Soleil.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
What is it? He
He's like-
DJs?
he DJs. He's part of. If you've ever heard
course
of
he does.
Robot Heart from Central, Robot Heart at Burning Man.
So
they had,
sounds familiar.
They're one of the bigger stages there. So they had Central Park. They had a show there. So I got booked on that. There's just cool opportunities in New York and so much inspiration here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
I really love living here. It's such an awesome place.
I want to ask you about these commercial gigs because I think that's a very interesting thing. But before we get there, I want to ask you, growing up in New Jersey, not Louisiana, my mistake. You had this experience with After Effects and different types of softwares. What kind of interested you in that? Was it more of the creating side? Was it the geek side? I know that you also you draw.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, kind of a leading question. What pushed you to learn to draw? Was there anybody in your life that really made you do that? Who taught you how to draw? And did that kind of steer you into this After Effects kind of digital stuff?
So my whole family is a family of artists. Where everyone's really good at everything that they do in their own respect. My sister's like an incredible painter. She does dog portraits. So if you need a dog portrait, hit me up. I can get you one. But she's really good at those. My
Link at the
brother's
bottom of the
probably
screen.
yeah. And my brother's been getting into like more abstract paintings recently, which are beautiful. I have a big like 4x6 one in my house. It's really big. But I think he's the best pencil drawer I've ever met. I've never met someone that can shade with pencil the way he does.
Wow.
It's just, it's pretty awesome. And then, so I got into stippling, and that was my big like thing to do because I wasn't as good at painting as my sister, and I'm not as good at painting or drawing as my brother. So I was like, I need to find my thing. So I always
What's
stippled,
stippling?
which is stippling's when you have a pen. It's like, here, I got them right here, actually. It's one of these pens, these little fine point microns. So you use that and you just stipple on a paper and just do a million dots.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's like I'll send you some pictures of them, but it's like, making an image out of dots and just doing the shading to bring out the image. So I used to do a lot of that. And then in high school, I was at my friend's house and he had computer guy over, and he was like, "Do you want like programs on your computer?" And I was like, "Sure." And then he put the Adobe suite. I don't know how he did, but I'll admit that. So I buy it now. But so he put it on my computer.
With pirated software. Come on.
Oh, I'm sure. But so it was on my computer, and I just like never touched it. It was like I went through all of college just ignoring the fact that I had it pretty much. I used Photoshop from time to time, but it really wasn't my thing. I was stibbling and just enjoying college, I guess. But and then after college, I started living by myself for the first time. So I had all this extra time. And I was like, well, let's open up After Effects. And then I started messing with it. My buddy, all my buddies kept just being like, you should keep doing this. It's awesome. And like, I'd make videos. I'd go over to Alex's house and just be like, put him on his TV, say, sit down and watch these and tell me what you think.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what was about like the digital aspect of it that drawed you in? Like what was sitting down in After Effects and like, the first time just opening it and then actually wanting to continue in it? Like what was it that drawed you in?
It just felt, I've been like doing art my whole life and drawing. It just felt like something that an extension of the art. Like I felt like I had a tool that was helping me accomplish the art that I wanted to, more than like whenever I'd try to draw it, sometimes I wouldn't be able to get to figure out exactly the way I want to or something. And I've never been one for tracing. So my art would sometimes suffer from that instance. But I feel like once I got into After Effects, I was like, wow, these are a lot of tools that like, they're just so much fun to use. I just got hooked immediately. And I'd say the first few years of me using software was me in After Effects. And then I started learning cinema. I really didn't teach myself resolume until way later. From the very beginning, told myself I don't want to do shows unless I'm playing my own content. That was like a huge part of it for me. And like shows were like, let's see, I did my first show in I think 2017. And I was creating for a good 2 years before that of just making content, not really knowing how it would even play back in resolume or anything. And then I did my first show, and I just remember being like, so it was oddly enough, it was at the Mirage in Brooklyn. I was with, it was a pretty big show. It was EPROM, Space Jesus, Of the Trees, and Huxley Ann, which they're all pretty big bass acts. And my friends got me booked there, and this is way before they had a big screen. It was actually in King's Hall on the side. It was just a small projector hitting above them, but I did that first show, and I brought out my whole desktop because I didn't have a traveling computer. I put my desktop in a cardboard box with styrofoam and was like, it'll be fine. And yeah, I went and did that show, and from that moment I was hooked. I just remember someone coming up and trying to explain a moment that happened to me. And I was like, wow, I made an impact on that person. Like I made their night better by being there. That's and awesome. That made me feel such an awesome purpose. Yeah. And I mean, I chase that. I tell people all the time, I'm in this for the moments. Like, I just want to make cool moments for people. If there's a memory that's going to stick with them and they're going to be like, for the rest of their life, they're going to think about the song that they were hearing and the visual they were seeing at that time. Like, that's my goal here. I just want to give people those things that stick with them and yeah, they remember.
Well, as somebody who's seen your shows before, I could tell you that your visuals are super memorable, and add a lot to the experience in those moments. And I think that's a very beautiful kind of like goal with your art, is to kind of, my goal is to create moments for people. I think that's very beautiful. And I think we're lucky because, a lot of times, I had this experience when I was studying film, and doing film was like, you can get super inspired and write a script. You're not going to see that product for years. You know, okay,
Yeah.
maybe like student films, you'll see it in a year. And it's similar. There's some similarities to us as well. Like you have to make it and then render it, and there's a time in between. But when we quote unquote show our art, it's direct, it's interactive, it's immersive, it's
Yeah.
in the moment, and you get that instant feedback. The guy comes to you after the show and says, "Hey, how did what was that moment?"
Yeah.
That's very special. You know, I feel like was a very big reason for me that I was infatuated by this kind of art form. Was not having to. It's not like necessarily of an ego of like I want people to say that I'm great. It's I want my art to be felt as fast and as soon as possible, and not have to like draw it out. Like when I get that creation, that's when I want the people to feel it.
And I feel like my whole life as an artist, I was like a closet artist, if you will. Like I've never been one to be like show people like, look at what I made, and like put a picture in their face. And I mean, a lot of my friends, some of them didn't even know I can draw and stuff. They were like shocked when they'd see it, and I was like, no, I've just been drawing my whole life. And then yeah, and that's kind of with this, it's the same thing. Like the goal isn't to be glorified or anything. Like kind of actually the opposite. That's why I like being in front of house and not on stage, because no one knows. When I walk around shows after, no one knows who I am, so it's fine. I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
And I like my art to speak for itself, and my art to be its art, and then I'm just a little pawn behind it. You know, I'm not. The art's way bigger than me, so.
Well, yeah, I mean that's definitely a really good way to approach creativity and art in general. Is it's not, we're just vessels, we're just kind of conduits for ideas and imagery and iconography and shapes and geometry and et cetera, and we're just.
Someone wants to say hi. Come here. Come on.
Is Bear, Bear, you gonna pick Bear up? Hey, Bear.
Oh, there's Bear.
Bear's a big
He's
boy.
crying for dinner. Okay. All right. Don't cry out here for me. Sorry.
So, Matt, it's a 2-question. One is, so you're saying you never wanted to play other people's content. You always wanted to make your own content. It's very interesting because I think I would say, I'm going to throw a very strange percentage. 90% of VJs start off playing clips and loops, whether it's bought loops, whether it's sourced, whatever. Me, myself, started off that way.
Right.
But for myself, I could only speak, but, there was a moment where I was like, okay, I want to only play my own stuff. And again, for me, it wasn't out of ego. I imagine for you, not either. But what is that feeling? Like, what is especially for you, because you from the beginning wanted to only play your own stuff. What was kind of the driving force behind that? And what do you think was the reasoning?
Yeah. So it's kind of a hard question because it's been since the very beginning. I just feel like when I was going to concerts and I was in this like very beginning phase of being like, I want to do this, I feel like it was very quickly to be like, oh, these are all Beeple clips everywhere you went. You're like, oh, they're all the same. And you start seeing it and it became repetitive. And something that I still today try to strive for is I just want my art to be unique in its own way. Which is kind of an odd way. I've been asked by many people to sell visual packs and stuff. And kind of a reason why I don't is because in a weird deep part of me, I feel like it allows that style to go out into the world for anybody to have. And not that I'm trying to corner myself and be like, I'm the only one that can do this shit. But like, it's just, it means a lot to me when I'm making this stuff. I put so much effort into it. And I just want to present it in a way that I feel comfortable with.
Right.
So that's kind of, And
well, it's also,
just, it feels so personal playing stuff that's all from me.
Yeah.
It's just, I feel like I can express myself in a different way. Which, and that's not to say that I don't ever play clips by other people. I definitely do. I get sent clips by people, and sometimes I'm like, they're so cool, I have to.
Right.
But normally, what I do is I'll try to fit it into some of the animations I already have to be something I can mix with something I have. Yeah, and I mean, when we go into the VJ session later, I'll show you some of those clips that I have from some other people that you'll see they work really well in conjunction with the things I have. So I'm kind of picky about the clips I'll play from other people.
Right.
I try to only keep it to like 1 or 2 clips a set, and
you're curating.
I mean, and I play over 100 clips every set, at least.
Wow.
I
can't
just because it's. Yeah. I'll show you all that. Just because, like, the way it's set up, I make a lot of my content in like layers to where it can progress and change. And if the music changes in a certain way, I can take the visuals in a different direction. And like, it gives me options. Having all these different clips. There's like slower ones and faster ones, but they're all in the same theme. So as the music's evolving, I can make the images evolve and turn into different things.
That's cool. So, jumping back a little bit, what was, when you were first starting out, maybe even before you were starting out as a VJ, was there a piece that you made, a piece of art that you created, that kind of made you stop and feel, oh, I'm actually good at this. Like we have that all the time, it's totally natural. It's a good thing. But what was the first piece that really made you feel that?
So, I mean, even before VJing, I'd say there's 2 pieces I made that made me feel like, oh, I'm pretty good at art. Was I did a stippling of The Godfather for my dad. And it was the 4 main characters, and it was a pretty big painting. It was, I mean, like a big ass painting. And when I did that for my dad, I was like pretty blown away by myself. I didn't think I could do anything I could. And then I tried my first colored stippling like a year after that. And that's by far my best hand drawn piece ever. I gave it to my mom, and she still hangs it in her house because it's that good. And it's like of this random woman that a friend took a picture of her in Guatemala, and just everything she was wearing was so beautiful that I did all of her clothing in color, but then her skin and everything was just black and white stippled. And it had a really nice artistic approach to it. And I was like, wow, this is different than just doing a good stippling. This one has like its own artistic impression on it. And yeah, those were like the 2 that gained me a lot of confidence.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. I love that you're so, that you're multidisciplinary in that sense. I think that's really creates a much more interesting experience. It's richer. I should say richer.
Yeah.
Because you have this kind of understanding of, a specific type of art form, even if it's dots, I mean, dots are actually very, very close to pixels, but it gives you a little bit of a physical out understanding of art, which I felt I always missed. I felt like I got it back with film because film was very physical, but I never had like the drawing ability or painting. I never even wanted to. And I always really look up to, especially digital artists that kind of, have this both kind of thing. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
And I just told you I got a touch pad with a pen, and I'm trying to learn to draw a little bit better.
That's great. That's a great start.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm super jaded to like creating things from scratch, especially like sculpting, and I think the highest that I get to is like texturing, where I'll texture things and there is like an element of like painting in it involved, but like I don't know how to sculpture properly in a high level. I don't know how to draw at a high level, and I'm just like, and I can make anything though, because I could just search it or buy it or source it. You know what I mean? And it's like a little bit of like a jadedness to like, I wish I knew a little bit more of like the human form and how to draw it.
Yeah, but then that always comes to the thing of I always get mad at myself that I'm like, I don't know this and I don't know that. But I'm like, there's only so much stuff we can fit in our brains.
Of
And look
course.
at all the stuff you do know. Look at this. Look how
Yeah,
pretty.
I love that. That's a
Look how good it
definitely.
looks, man. So I mean, it's a give and take
It's a
thing.
give and take for sure, for sure. Um, who is a who is a big influence for you in your life in terms of your philosophy and approach to creating art? It doesn't have to be, it could be anybody. I'm just always interested to see where those things come from for people.
Yeah. So I guess I've had so many different people that have inspired me over the years. And then especially with VJing, it kind of all started with looking over a Salvador Dali book. Um, and just being so we were just we me and my buddy it was Alex Cybernautics again, shout out. We were sitting there just staring at Dolly at this book like for a few hours, just going through every painting, telling each other what we thought it meant, and it it that inspired me to start doing visuals because the first clips I made were all I'd take Dolly's paintings and I would Photoshop, erase them out, and then make the background, fill it in, and then I'd animate it using those Photoshop layers that I
Hell yeah,
made.
that's awesome.
So that was kind of all the start of the visual stuff that I'm doing.
Hmm.
Uh, and then, I mean, so just like being inspired by him, being in my family, I mean, seeing everyone do art, it made me want to do art
Hmm.
constantly.
Beautiful.
Um, yeah, I've been inspired by so many people. I'm constantly inspired by like us, like other artists. I'm inspired by you. I get inspired by so many
Thanks.
people when I see cool things. Like honestly, all the stuff you're doing in Unreal for this is so cool. Like
Thanks, dude.
uh, I, it's one thing that I don't shy away from is I like being inspired by people,
Hmm.
um, and it's there's other art out there that's cooler than mine. You know what I mean? So there's always someone to look up to, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy to have, and it also allows you to be inspired by anybody at any time. So it's very
Right.
powerful. Are your parents artists? I didn't know. Because you said that everybody's very
Yeah.
artistic in your family.
So my she's pretty good. She's like she calls herself a doodler because she doesn't really ever do pieces, but when she doodles, it's really good doodles. Her mother is a fantastic. She was a really good watercolorer.
Wow.
And then my dad he was artistic in his own way. My dad could like I mean he could build anything that you wanted. He had no construction knowledge at all,
Mm.
but he could get wood and then build walls. He built like an entire basement with different rooms and stuff in our house. Like he was a very hands-on person. So he was artistic in his own way for sure.
That's so cool. And I'm sure that growing up
Yeah.
with that around you was kind of like inspiring for sure, but also almost
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, I could do this. Like that kind of,
Yeah.
again,
Oh well,
the returning thing.
yeah, they would push us to do art.
They would,
My dad
or they
even
wouldn't.
they would, yeah, they
They
were
would.
huge into it. My dad even in our basement built a table that he called the art table because he was like, this is a table just for you guys to come draw on. And he put it so we could see the TV in the background and sit there and enjoy it. He's like, I want you guys to come and do art on this.
That's awesome.
And we had that table down there.
That's
That
so
was the
cool.
art table.
I
Yeah.
love that. They must be really proud of you now that you're, following your dreams and really hitting all these amazing goals. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, it's wild. My mom is a huge Mets fan, and thank you, by the way. My mom's a huge Mets fan, and she got to come see me play at City Field with Dead and Co. So to do something
Nice.
like that, I mean, and then I got to run over to her after the set and go hug her, and she was crying. It was
Oh,
such an
oh,
awesome moment.
that's so
That's
nice.
one of those ones that's gonna live with me for the rest of my life.
Hell
As
yeah, dude.
yeah, and
I,
like I said, creating moments for other people. Also, I mean, I've created some awesome moments for myself doing this stuff,
of course.
and it's not that I've tried to. It's just that I'm a firm believer that when you work hard and you keep pouring your love and your passion into things, things are going to, and it's inevitably going to work out in the end. If you just keep pushing forward, stay focused on your goals, and you just have to try. That's the thing that I feel like a lot of people stop at, is they give up or they don't keep going. And I'm like, man, I haven't stopped, and I feel like so many cool things have happened because of that. And I'm so grateful for it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm just
well, talking about that, do you know, because as a freelancer, especially you've been a freelancer for many years, I know, I've been a freelancer for many years as well. There are low times. There are a lot of low times, whether it's low financial, whether it's you're doing, like you were saying before, you're working for Netflix and you're working for these commercial companies. It's all good. You can put the logo in your website and it's cool. I worked for Netflix, but a lot of times commercial jobs are grueling. They're difficult. You have to deal with people. And money's good and everything, but especially that a lot of us got into this thing to like be artists, right? You're not expecting that part of being an artist is making art for other people.
The compromise.
So, first of all, what is the philosophy for you when it comes to commercial work? And as a freelancer, how do you get through the low times?
Yeah. So, the low times are real. That's the winters can be really slow, especially if you're doing mostly festivals and concerts and stuff. Winters are normally slower. So I feel like my slow time always comes around Christmas to January. And man, it can be rough sometimes. I'll tell you, especially not all of these years have I saved up properly for the low times, because I didn't really expect that to be a thing. Right. But when things are going well, they're going very well. And honestly, it'll seem like too many jobs are coming in at once. And that's seemingly how it happens. But then when there's nothing happening, there's literally nothing happening. Your phone doesn't ring, your email doesn't bing. And it can be very discouraging. But someone who gave me great advice on that was, have you ever heard of John Gay? He's a painter.
John Gay.
He's a painter. He's from Atlanta, but now he lives in Denver. He's
a like a visionary artist.
Yes. So I met him through a mutual friend, and I started 3D modeling his art. And it was kind of in the beginning of me starting to freelance. And I asked him, I was like, you freelance for a while. I was like, you've been doing this for like 10 years. How do you get through the low times? And he just told me, he was like, there are going to be times that suck and you're going to want to quit. He's like, however, you can't give up. You just have to see it through. And I think about that every now and again. I'm like, I can't give up. Like, it's the thing I love more. Like, I love it so much. Like, there's a few things I love as much as this. It's like my family, my friends, and then your doing wife, this is that's family.
You love her.
That's family, baby.
No, she's outside of family, bro. Your wife is outside of family. She's on top of the family.
Oh, of course. She's me and her always joke. It goes Bear and then us. So
oh, nice.
The dog is number one, and then me and Marcy, and then family.
Your kids are gonna have it good when they come. They'd be like,
I'm sure.
Bear, the kids.
Which let me just say, since we're on the air now, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
How's it being a dad? I'm gonna switch the interview on you. How's it been?
Yeah, it's great. It's I haven't slept. I should say that he's already a year old, so things have been going all over the place. But it was super challenging. One of the hardest things I ever did in my life, for sure, without a doubt. Never, as people who are VJs, we play at night, and festivals, you're like up for like 7 days. I've been going to festivals since I was very young. This was the hardest thing I've ever done in terms of sleep deprivation.
Man,
And,
we did Boom together, and that was bad
yeah,
for sleep
yeah.
deprivation.
Oh yeah, no, I've done like 6 festivals in a summer, you know, and this was harder. So
Actually,
in
the
terms of
first
that,
time I met Lev was at Boom
that's true.
when
Yeah, he was
Yael
in.
was pregnant with him.
That's true.
He came to Boom Festival.
He did. We're gonna go to Modem together this year. I'm very excited.
Ah,
Um,
nice. I'm hoping to make it out as well.
yeah, I hope so too.
So,
But yeah, with a kid,
yeah.
I mean, it's super inspiring. You know, it gives me a lot. I haven't yet managed to translate the inspiration of being a father and having a child into art. I'm still kind of like taking it into other places.
Seems
But I
tricky.
feel very full. You know, it fills you up with a lot. Super challenging, but really beautiful. And I'm excited because as he gets older and as things develop, as he starts, you know, crawling, he's starting to stand now. He's going to start walking. I'm like, when is this motherfucker going to talk? I can't wait to hear what he has to say. I'm like so excited
Oh
to
my
hear
gosh.
what he has to say, you know?
Knowing
Um,
you, that kid's gonna have a lot of funny shit to say.
Yeah. Between me and Yael, he's going to be hysterical for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. He's gonna be cracking jokes nonstop, and he's gonna be the best dancer around.
yeah, I want to talk to you about your marriage at the end. I have a question for you about that.
Of course.
I'd love to kind of shift a little bit. I want to go and see what you have prepared for us. But before we go there, I want to ask you, speaking of Unreal, you've been using Unreal more and more. What is for you the kind of, I'm not going to use terms that I want to use here because obviously I'm very pro real time, but what for you is the benefit and interest and excitement of real-time versus non-real-time workflows?
Yeah. So I mean, with Unreal, I mean, having that real-time workflow of being able to see the end result while working on it, being able to cut all your cameras and just play it back immediately, not having to wait for it to pre-render or any of that. And it doesn't play back choppy; it just plays back smooth. It's such an advantage in the creative process. Because it makes that workflow of, there's a lot of downtime sometimes, even with rendering out of Unreal. I mean, the rendering is so fast that it kind of kicks the crap out of anything that Cinema was doing for me. And the cool thing is, I can still use Cinema and I can still use all these other programs that I love. Like, there's a lot of workflows that I do where I go from ZBrush into Cinema 4D, and then do all my deformers and everything, and then export Olympics into Unreal.
Nice.
And just render basically out of Unreal, do materials and lighting and rendering. Because the way that, I mean, that real-time system is set up in there, it aids a lot to the cinematic part of it, and doing the different camera cuts and getting it. I feel like my art has become a lot more cinematic since I've started using Unreal.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less of rendering it and hoping it comes out good and then being like, all right, now we got to do that again tomorrow night because it didn't come out the right way. Yeah, because like Cinema would be like kind of a guessing game sometimes. You're like, I think it all looks good, but I can't play it back smoothly enough to see it. And then it comes out and you're like, it's not what I wanted. Then you waste all that time.
Yeah.
Where
and it's not like in real time. It's not like in real time you get a final image, but you can play back and at least get an understanding of like, oh, the animation is smooth, the movement is good, positioning.
Definitely. And there's just a lot of the tools in Unreal, I just think are very they're like intuitive, like even just like time dilation and sequencer. Like you don't have to dilate you can put all your keyframes and then you do time dilation at the end and it redoes all your keyframes for you the right way. And I mean, that's stuff like that. I'm like, it's such a great way that the software works.
Do you know the I'm sorry, you just reminded me of something really funny. Like, you know, the if you do like graph editor, then there's that little clock icon.
Oh yeah.
Like, why doesn't every fucking keyframe thing have that? It's like gold. It's pure gold for like
so many things in Unreal that are like little things like this. And it's kind of it makes Unreal at first kind of very intimidating to get into, and it's
Right.
almost a reason why I didn't is because you can do so much in it.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes it's the smallest thing that will give you a little error in the settings, and that
And
kind of got me
to
really
find it and figure it out.
intimidating. Oh yeah, like the other day, speaking of time dilation, I found out if you do time dilation, you have to change your output name to just have an REF at the bottom. Yeah, and if you don't do that, it doesn't render the right way. There's just like very small things that if you don't do it right, but there's enough resources out there online to get you going in Unreal. And I mean, it's cool. You can do so much. I want to get more into the real time aspect of it. Because right now, the way I play and do visuals is kind of more of a hybrid approach of real time in clips. Like I use Synesthesia, which is real time GLSL. However, all my effects in resolume are also tied to the external FFT. So basically, any audio coming in, it's going to make the effects act in different ways. And all of that kind of, you pair it in with the clips, it kind of makes it a nice little hybrid of real time and not real time. Yeah. But it's cool.
Real time is a different beast. It's we've spoken about this a lot. I feel, I have a feeling that now that you have a motion capture suit, you're going to want to do more and more in real time. I feel like it's very interesting because you're coming at it from a very interesting place. You're kind of using the real time engines to better your offline workflow, right? You're using it to make your offline workflow faster, easier, more intuitive. And real time is like the approach is nothing like the approach is different. The approach is not about what is the final thing going to be. It's more of like, what can I fuck around with? What can I change? What can I play with that is going to look cool, be interesting, work well, not crash? And that exploration is, there's no way to do it. You know what I mean?
No, there's no right way.
There's no right way. That's the beauty of it, really, I feel.
That's with most of VJing. There's no right way.
There's no right way. Definitely.
At all. It's the approach that makes you comfortable and that can allow you to do your thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that just use like Synesthesia or just use Touch Design or just use resolume. I even know people that use like Archaos and stuff like that are like older programs that.
Right.
My
mentor Dorian uses Grand VJ.
That's what Singer uses, and Singer's been I mean, obviously I did Dead and Go, so as you can imagine, Singer's been a huge inspiration. Singer. And he's been a very big mentor to me over the past few years. He helped me get involved with Grateful Dead, and then kind of through all of that, we talked every day. We work on a lot of projects. He's a really good friend. So, but yeah, he uses Archaos, and there's no right or wrong way to go about it. If it's what's comfortable to you, then that's what works. And it all that matters is the end result. I mean, if it's pretty and it looks good, then I don't care how you're doing it.
100%.
It just matters if it looks good.
It just matters if the end result is obviously what dictates if it's good or not, right? But the interesting thing about real time is that you don't know what the end result's going to be, and that's almost the exciting thing about it. That's the benefit, right? Is that every time the end
you're
result
seeing it for the first time as the audience is seeing it for the first time.
Right, and maybe you practice at home and you have your ranges, everything, but you're always going to get, even in resolume, when you add a post,
it won't be the same.
It will be different every time. So,
I've gone into sets with I can't prep too much and be like, this is how I'm going to do it, because it'll never get done the same way. So you kind of, I go into a lot of sets.
That's the beauty of it. And I feel like
the flow of going with it. The music.
Totally. And it's explorative, so you get to see and experience new things every time. And And I think that that's where generative visuals and real-time visuals excel, because it's one step before. It's not just a post-process iMac effect. It's, you know, it's it's a step after, you know, or sorry, step before, where the actual content is being generated. I'm really excited to see you go there, because I know you're going to, and I'm just waiting for you to like call me like, how do I do this? I need help.
Yeah,
and I'll,
you know, I will. I already do that to you all the time. So.
I know, and I love it. I love it. I get extreme pleasure out of helping you and anybody else that I love. So I'm excited, because I really feel like, especially with your visual style, how it's cinematic and like big theme. At the same time, it's also goofy and funny and wacky and unexpected. And like, I can't wait for you to be in like the place where you make a 3D scene where it has all that incorporated. And by you changing values or you pushing, you know, different sequences, those experiences come out. But it's new every time. You know, it's not just like, you didn't just make a new pack or a new bunch of clips. You have your scene that is just like completely interesting and different every time.
No, and it's the way that the things are going with VJing. I think it's inevitable that real time is going to be more of a thing, because, I mean, especially with time crunches and stuff, you don't have time to render. I mean, the amount of shows I've done where there's been a last minute change and I'm like, oh, I can't re-render everything. If it was real time, it's just kind of, I just change our output composition, maybe change the camera up a little bit.
Yeah.
So there's so many, there's so many advantages to it. That, I mean, I inevitably, that's me learning Unreal now, is me making that transition. But in order to make the transition, during that transition phase, I was like, let me use Sequencer, make some clips. Yeah. Because it does make really nice clips out of there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. I'm going to be doing real time soon enough, I'm sure.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, yeah. I think we've reached that time. This is also a good time to remind everybody to like and subscribe. I'm trying to make this more and more interactive, where the audience can watch us live and interact with the artist. So please like and subscribe.
There's a like button down there somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like this.
It's a thumbs up and there's a subscribe next to it.
We have a nice set prepared by you. We're going to jump into it now.
Yeah.
And we even have a nice setup by you, and we're going to see it happen now. Here we go. And
look at that. This is that real-time workflow.
Yes, the real-time workflow when it works. Oh, yeah. Let's fucking
go. What up?
Okay, so now we can see.
This is my setup. I got... So what I got is an APC Mini. I think these are pretty new, because I haven't really seen them before. Yeah, it's like the APC 40, but it doesn't have all the knobs. It's got all the same sliders and buttons. It actually has 2 more rows of buttons, so that's pretty nice.
Hell yeah.
I use this. This is pretty much clip activation. So all of these are all clips, and then there's a few effects on the top. And then I have my MIDI Fighter Twister, which this one's all my effects basically. So each knob is also a button, so I can trigger 2 things. The workflow on this is real nice. You can press multiple buttons at once and twist and get all up in there.
The MIDI Fighter is literally the shit. It's the best.
Yeah, this is.
The banks,
I think this is
you got all those banks.
The best MIDI controller ever made.
It's super strong, doesn't break. It's like, and the buttons, like the software. I'm very excited. The software that you use to program it is super dense. If you want to go super dense into it,
yeah, you can like the colors that you can select and everything. It's pretty insane. And like you said, all the banks on the side, you can set up different. I haven't even gotten to switching the banks, but from what I understand, I mean. you can essentially have one MIDI set up, and then midway through your set, press a button and have a new MIDI set up, doing a whole bunch of different stuff. Just pretty cool. So yeah.
Awesome. So now let's
dive in here.
Yeah, let's check out your setup.
I'll show you. So, like we said, there's no right or wrong way to do resolume into VJ. However, the way I do it is overwhelming. I have a lot of layers. I'm not going to be using synesthesia today, just because of resources with recording and everything. However, that being said, I normally would do a spout round trip out here. So it takes everything out below it, sends it to synesthesia, and then I can route it back in and then do effects to all of my clips in real time in synesthesia.
Nice.
Which shout out to the synesthesia crew. Theron and Andrew and all of them.
I really want to get Theron on here. I'm definitely going to
they're all really good friends of mine, and I really support everything they're doing with that software. They're really great people. So it's an awesome software if you're trying to get into some real-time stuff without having to learn Touch Designer, basically.
Yeah.
You can do some really cool GLSO effects in there.
I'd say
but for now, I'm going to show...
not even comparable to Touch Designer because it has the whole UI is built towards VJing.
Right. And it's a VJ software.
It's a VJ software. Yeah. It's really great.
And it's I mean, outside of resolume, there's not too many VJ softwares. There's software you can do VJing in, but most of them are like playback or just, Touch Designer or something that's like, yes, it can do all these
media
things.
Server.
But
it's more like a media server.
Yes.
Touch Designer is like an open framework media server. And
open framework's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, open frame. Very difficult.
It's very open. Very open framework.
For sure.
You could do anything in there.
Yeah, you can do anything in there. Fuck yeah.
Okay.
Let's jump into it. Let's get the music going.
I have a mix here from my friend Cameron Mickman. This is his mini mix he did, so we'll just play this. I believe the start of it is all down tempo, and then it gets a little more hype towards the end. So I'll show you guys kind of a nice little spread on how I do things. So this intro I'm going to play here is the intro I played at King's Theater. This is a meta-human. We'll see. Let's see when it comes here. All right. Let this music get in a little more. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Let's go for it. Get some vibes going.
So this is the meta-human I made for Kings. And now all the facial animations and everything are all live link. And then now that I have this mocap suit, I can do more fun animations.
Your lighting skills have gotten so good, dude.
Thank you, dude. this metahuman is, from this point on, this is a metahuman that I exported from Unreal into Cinema and put him through some simulations that I made to make him kind of swim like a fish a little bit.
Fishy.
And bring in some different lighting changes. And yeah, so these are just two effects two clips that I was playing there. Now this is a Niagara system from my Unreal.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about this one actually.
Yeah,
it's
so this
not
one,
Cinema?
No, this is all Unreal. This is a Niagara system. It's just no, it's just using the mesh renderer for
like an image.
Yeah, exactly. And then it has an input image as a height mask that I made, and it tells it where to move all the rocks to, and they spin on their way there.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's like the Lord of the Rings intro kind of vibe.
Right. What this one was inspired by, I don't know if you've seen Rings of Power.
Yeah.
That's their intro of Rings of Power. It's like this.
Of course.
And like I was saying, I mean, I find inspiration from so many different things. And yeah. I mean, I saw that intro and I was like, oh, we got to figure out how to make this.
Of course.
Yeah. But it's cool. I set all different sorts of height masks for them. So this one comes out to be a brain.
Don't give it away. Such a nice shader, like just the glass.
Yeah.
And iridescentness of it.
That's
lovely.
That's some of that octane. That's octane in Cinema. You can get some really nice effects in there. Just the chromatic aberration, I believe is what that's called.
Yep.
And then so here's some res effects that I put underneath. This one makes it feel like it's kind of smoky. You can turn them on and off. So I'm just kind of running through these so we can get to the meat here of some good stuff. So now this is another scene I made specifically for Kings. I tend to make a lot of scenes just for the shows that I have upcoming. And this is one of Cameron's album covers.
Fucking go. I love that red.
Yeah, the red effect's good.
It's good change.
If it, yeah, and so, I mean, as you can see in my resolume comp, I just leave myself as many options as possible. So as the music's changing and becoming something else, start bringing in some different vibes. This one's got a few good options for it.
I love this. This is one of my favorite scenes of yours.
So that's an effect I really like to use there. Is this it's this random button that I have set up. So it makes it kind of jump all over, and then it goes right back to being smooth.
Nice.
And it makes some cool different transition effects. I make a lot of these in After Effects, and they're just like really cool cut screens. Sorry, turned that off by accident. Oh, here we go.
New York City.
So I told you earlier how Dolly inspires me. So this is a character that I made using LiveLink as well.
That's you going like...
Yeah, yeah, that's my face. Yeah. Doing all the dolly poses. And then this this little cheeky guy, I'll put him on after this drop. This is a little cheeky edit I made of, this is Niagara System over the Dolly model in Unreal. Yeah, I really like this one.
Let's go.
And then this is yeah, what's up?
The abstract stuff, is it in Cinema or After Effects?
Yeah, all these sparkles.
Yeah.
So all of that is sprite renderers out of Unreal.
Oh, it's Niagara.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's Niagara using a
That
sprite
works
a
so
sprite
well.
render.
That works.
Yeah,
so well.
it's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it has lighting and everything. It's sick.
It's like, yeah, it really crushes. So then this is the moment of the VJ gig where you're like, oh shit, what do I play next? What do I play next? And you're scrambling, running. You're like, oh no.
And then the music changes to completely the opposite of what you were expecting.
Oh yeah. Every time. Yeah, Unreal's just like, it's like you said, it helped me make these scenes just more grand. Like all this aspects behind them. There's so many awesome kits out there that you can kind of kit bash these scenes together pretty fast.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the beauty is the lighting and the cinematic value of it. Like if you change something so little, it creates such a huge different effect.
Oh yeah. And this this was my first dark night scene, and I got the rain figured out pretty damn well. However, the lightness on his face I kind of struggled with. But yeah, I mean, it works. It still works.
Yeah, I mean, you've only been using Unreal for
I'll always come
2
back,
years?
I'll tweak these. Oh, not even. Like, probably only like a year. Yeah, maybe a year at most. I probably started around this time last year.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it's just, the workflow in there is really nice. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a clip. So I'll show you a clip that I have that is someone else's clip that it just fits well with the stuff I'm playing right now. It's kind of these like hip hop dancey vibes. And he sent me a clip that I'll play on this next drop. That's pretty, works pretty well with it. And to be honest, I'm not an AI guy. I kind of dislike AI. It's not my favorite. Personally, I just don't like to make it because it takes the creative process out of it for me. But he sent me this clip, and I thought it was so cool. I was like, man, I'll play it. So this is from Simulate. I'll give you his Instagram if you want to toss it in there later or something. Sure. Where he's makes some really cool AI stuff, and he sent me this one, and I was like, I can mix that in with my shit.
Yeah, it works well.
Yeah, it just works with these hip hop clips.
Ooh, I like that. That car is great. It's such like a random. It's like just a cab. It's like just so like.
Yeah.
I love it.
Like this is that like New York City vibe, trying to get King Cedar, you know.
I love it.
And all of that animation is all. So these are graffiti cans, and then as they come through, all the records in the background are all of the most famous rappers from Brooklyn. It's all of my favorite Brooklyn albums. So you got Mos Def.
You used to have a wall with records, no? You still have it?
I still do. It's actually right up here.
We'll check it out.
I'll turn the camera for
at the end.
Actually, wait, look.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Wait, I didn't see it. Go back. Yeah.
My wall of records. Yeah.
Hell yeah. I love it.
But, all right, so let's dive back in. Let's get you guys some of this new stuff. I guess you've gotten some of the new stuff, but this is something that I made. I have a terrible name for it because my naming convention sucks. But its name is Wallman. However, it's the coolest thing I've made. So I saw all these billboards floating around on Instagram of people like reaching out and making it look 3D.
Yeah.
And I was like, how cool would that be on an LED wall? Yeah. So I put this out to where the hand comes out way more because it's a fisheye lens.
Nice.
And like when you're on an LED wall, I think it feels like it's coming out at you. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. And you have the framing as well. The framing of it is what sells it. When you have like a piece of the frame that's in the camera, and it's like the frame is static and not moving, and then you have something moving,
and the hands coming out in front of the staticness behind. It gives such a cool effect. And I noticed that too because I was watching them and I was like, wow, these are like sick, and it's such an easy effect. It's like I was saying earlier, you can find inspiration anywhere.
Definitely, I agree. This is sick, dude. This is awesome.
All right, so that's it for that mix, but I can get some more music going here if you want.
Is that it? Fuck.
That was it. That was 20 minutes.
What?
Let me get you some more music going if you want.
Yeah, let's get a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll play some more. I got more stuff to show you.
This is a good time to remind the people to like and subscribe, and don't forget that this is what we do here. Okay?
This is
we
life.
Get the visuals live, going, hanging, playing. This is what we do. Like and subscribe right now. Follow us on all the socials. Let's go.
Let's play one of these. I'm not going to say what this mix is because it's super old and I don't know if it's okay, but it's good. It's an old tipper mix from like...
It's definitely okay.
It's like a tipper mix from like 20 years ago.
We're going to get tipper's permission.
I don't think he'll mind. But, yeah. Let's get some of this going.
Also one of my favorite scenes of yours.
Yeah, this one came out really nice. It
Unreal as well?
Yeah. This is Unreal, yeah. And then I made all the computer glitches in After Effects, and then like imported the MP4s in and played them as a media source. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Nice. Great. So good, dude.
Yeah, then this is another Niagara system.
I can't wait for you to be doing this in real time, using it auto reactive and stuff.
Something about this guy's scratching is too good.
Yeah, it's almost like you're really tempted to like scratch the visuals as well, but it
you want to, yeah. It gets too much.
Yeah,
it makes you too hyped, and then you're like, oh man. So this is something that I made that I think this is one of the only pieces I can confidently say I don't think anyone's ever made something like this before. Yeah, so you'll see it.
Oh my god.
It's a capuchin riding in a Shelby Cobra with 3 tree frogs who have a pineapple man that they're steering the car with.
Definitely not seen this before.
I don't know why some of these effects ain't working. Okay. No worries.
Nice. Is that a separate clip?
So yeah, these are 2 separate clips, and I use an AD fader to kind of go. Yeah,
because they're playing at once.
Here's a little trick I'll let you in on how I do things. So you see how I have these 2 purple layers, and these 2 purple layers, background A, B. They're A and B'd. So when I hit one Midi clip, it triggers both of them at the same time. So then I have 2 clips at the same time that I can A and B between.
So they're like
are essentially the same thing, right? And that's the same with this Dolly one I played earlier.
Right,
I can do lighting shifts on him.
I love that.
Yep, and like there's a lot of fun little simple shifts you can do to things, just to like make that little change. Like these guys earlier, I had them going from 1 to just mirrored.
Yeah.
It's just like a simple effect, but like
it creates.
Yeah, it really works. It's pretty effective. Yeah, and it doesn't waste too many resources playing the same clip twice.
Oh no, you're not. Even if you're playing in the background, it doesn't waste any resources. It's not.
Yeah, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's great. It's like it's what what I strive for in real time is that it's like you're seeing one thing, but then you have a change in light, you have a change in texture, you have a change, and those like when you're not when you don't cut the clip, when you don't cut from clip to clip, there's a very strong feeling that I feel like people see, and you're recreating that here with clips, which is very impressive.
Yeah, so that's my workflow. It's all clips. So
no, but what I'm saying is you already have the idea of what's cool looking down, like light changes, objects changes, fucking with your perception.
Yeah,
right? Like you see a screen.
It's a pre-made. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's kind of what I was telling you with, I leave myself options. I want, like, if the music's changing and there's a lighting shift that I want to happen, I make my clips to where I can do that. And it's
Right.
not every time I do this lighting shift. It's just only when I see that it's very needed. But yeah, here's a series I made that my friends call robot affirmations. I didn't really have any other word for it. But yeah, robot affirmations is a good word for it.
Sick. Did you make these robots?
Yeah, so some of these are like some assets I either found online and rigged or modeled or just ended up like fixing some old models that were either in my sources. Like this guy with the hat is something I found online that I ended up rigging and modeling. And yeah.
And I love this robot font. Like whatever it is, it's super cool.
Yeah.
The robot language font where it's like all like coded. It's so crazy because like you have like sick motion graphics skills as well as like 3D skills, and those are like, I know that they're a lot of times synonymous. Like people that can do motion graphics can do 3D, but usually what you'll see is people that do really good motion graphics, when they do 3D, they just do motion graphics. You know what I mean? And you're like actually doing more like narrative, interesting stuff. Oh fuck yeah, let's go, Hungry Hippo.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're getting into it.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's go into it a little bit. Let's dive in deep. Go for another few minutes, and then we'll take a break.
Cool. Sounds great. Yeah, this one's been a fan favorite. I get requested this one a lot.
Oh my god.
I'll show you some more of those toys we were talking about earlier too. There's one that I made that really gets no airtime. This one. So let's give it some airtime. I was like inspired by this sketchy drawing style of like Basquiat kind of.
What's it called? It's called it's not cell shaded. It's like
So that's the half tone. That's the half tone.
Half tone.
So that part is very inspired by like Andy Warhol stuff.
What are you?
But then like all the drawing in the background, like the skulls being drawn and stuff. It reminds me of like a Basquiat painting. How he just kind of just like randomly scribbles all over it, and I like wanted to recreate those random scribbles in an animation.
Right.
So I made this one. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Rock'em sock'em.
Rock'em sock'em. Let's go. Super soakers with some very strange anthropomorphic thing.
I like to, every now and again, I will hide my name in something, like how it's on his hat. I will do that every now and again to something. There's another scene I have where I do that quite a bit. So I love skateboarding, and this one's very much inspired by my love for skateboarding. I love Rodney Mullen, so I took all these old clips of Rodney Mullen and the Bone Brigades, and I mixed them all up and put them through my system that I have in After Effects to make these like little montage clips. And then I made this really neat clip in Cinema to accompany it.
Oh, I love this one.
Yeah, and some of the skateboards, what made me think about this is how I said I hide my name on stuff. Mm-hmm. Some of the skateboards, like, look, right here, I'll tell you.
Zip visual.
They say it says zip visuals, yeah. So I do that to some of my stuff. Every now and again, it's a little hide, little Easter egg.
I love these particle simulations. You know, like they're just so nice looking. You have another one with like the wheels and the trash and everything. I really love the way it looks.
Yeah, ooh, look at this one. This one's really, really nice. There's a hard change there, but this animation's cool. This one has never gotten played. It's gotten played once live. That's it. And it's kind of old. It just kind of missed its opportunity to get played, I feel like. And I don't play it that often. But it's such a cool clip. It's
you're using X particles?
No, this is all. So these are cloners. Cloners following a spline. So I drew a spline, told it where I wanted to fall, and then used cloners and put dynamics on them and make it follow the spline and just make it to where the whole building was a collider for it. Wow. So it's going through, it's collapsing on all the stairs, it's hitting all the other things.
That's cool. So you can have a cloner following the spline and also add some physics to it.
So these are technically, each object is a different cloner. I could have probably done it all with one cloner, but the way that I wanted to set it up, I wanted to control the amount of variables more. So I set up a bunch of different cloners, and they all collide with each other as they go through this. So cool. And yeah, it's a pretty neat way of doing it.
I love those when you're just blowing these pieces up. It's so fun. This is so wild, bro.
This guy is the reason.
You're so wild. Oh my god.
This guy is the reason why I started learning Unreal. Because I hated the animation on him. I hate his face. I just didn't like the way it came out. It's one of those things I made that I was like, it's got a lot of cool aspects to it, but there's some things that I just don't like, so I don't play it. I get like that sometimes. It's not fair to everybody.
You selfish bastard.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump into some questions now. We can continue playing for sure. Go as long as you want.
You want me to turn off some music or?
No, I have it load up as long as it's not bothering you.
Cool. That's not bothering me at all.
So you played King Theater, and you're the biggest, massivest LED panel in the East Coast in the what is it called? It's the Mirage. No. It's
Brooklyn Mirage. Yeah.
It is the Mirage.
Yeah, it's the Mirage. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, what is it like playing in those places? The King's Theater. You have such a strong relationship towards it.
Yeah, so I've gotten to play in King's Theater and Mirage twice, both of them twice. Luckily, I mean, King's Theater is such a special place because to be in a theater that's that pretty, and to do visuals like this, I don't know. It just seems a little out of place there, and I love it. There's something about that that's like, it's kind of why I made this whole series of you saw the circus and stuff.
Yeah,
that was made for King's because I was like, I wanted to bring a little bit of King's Theater to the stage without just being like, last time I was there, I literally 3D modeled King's. But this time I was like, I want to do something a little different, kind of make it more me. But yeah, playing at those two, it means a lot. Being in my backyard, being able to play some of the biggest venues here, having all my friends be able to come out and see it really means a lot to me. I had my mom come to King's Theater the first time. Her and my brother came. And it was so special because afterwards, it was the first time they told me, they were like, I get it. They were like, I fully get what you do now.
Oh, that's
they were like, I didn't understand it before. And they were like, my brother said something to me that meant a lot. He said, not only do I know what you do now, he's like, I know that you're incredibly good at it.
Oh,
and that
so nice.
meant the world to me to hear that from someone that's like, I've looked up to him as an artist my whole life. And yeah, being at these venues has been very special. I can't thank that crew that brings me out to do these shows enough. They've brought me to some really awesome places. And yeah, that whole Tipper and Under crew, like Jade and Detox and Mickman and all of them, they've allowed me opportunities to display my art in ways that other people haven't.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so awesome. Being able to do those shows and being able to do them the way I want to, it means so much to me as an artist because, like we said, we work very hard on this stuff, and I just want to be able to present it my way, and it's nice to be given that opportunity because that doesn't come around too often. So,
hell yeah.
Yeah.
We played at Boom together, 2022.
Oh yeah, we did.
I guess 2022. And that was a great experience. It was so nice having a friend there, and it was so nice playing with you together. I think the set that we did together was my favorite set that I did there. I mean, the opening set I really enjoyed because I was playing with Julius, and it was like the opening set, but I was also very nervous, and none of us knew if
me,
it would work or
you
not.
and Martin got
like
to play together. That was so special.
That was fucking awesome.
Because I mean, when I met you the first time, I was so blown away by your art. I've looked up to you ever since. And then to have you and Martin especially there too, I'm like, that guy is a big reason why I make clips the way I do. I mean, you see some of my characters dancing and stuff. It looks very much like W. And to be able to play with you two, I mean, such a nice close friend that I've looked up to for so long. And then Martin, who at that time I hadn't met him before then. It was such a special moment, that set.
I feel the same.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about when we met, I have to say, like, Matt is like the nicest person in the world. Like we never even knew each other. And then I somehow got myself into the lineup of like a festival, like a few days before it. Shout out to David Actualize for giving my first opportunity to play in America. And you were so nice. I think you even sent me a message first of like, hey, I'm going to Maine. Do you want to ride with me? Do you want to drive with me? And like, and then we ended up hanging out beforehand. You met Yael. It was like, you were so nice, and you're not.
That was my first music festival I've ever played.
It was?
I've never played a music festival before that.
Shit. When was that? 2018, 19?
Yeah, it was 18? Pretty early. Yeah, it was 2018 probably. 2018,
yeah, summer 2018. Yeah.
And yeah, you flew into New York. You needed a ride up to Maine, and I remember David was like, "Yo, please drive this dude. He's super cool." I was like, "All right. I mean, I guess I'll drive this random person." And then you were just like the nicest person. I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
I feel the same. It was such a fun experience. that whole weekend, and like I felt like such a strong kinship to you, and like just really appreciated what you were doing there. And
I'll never forget you being like, we need power at our camp station. And you made them run us a power line all the way to where we were camping so we could sit there on our desktops at our campsite and work.
Do it, baby. What else are you supposed to do?
Man right there.
I'm not gonna work before the festival.
No, but so that was my first time I ever saw like a motion capture suit or anything with the UNIL when you guys did that.
That's right.
We did Foxtail and Spoonbill together.
That's true. Yeah,
which
with
were
the motion
two
capture.
really big sets.
With the motion capture.
And we had the motion capture. You were feeding the motion capture into my system, and I was overlaying it on top of everything I was doing.
That was really sick. That was really sick.
It actually, at the time, for me, that was way too advanced for me. I needed you there, man.
It was super experimental. We didn't really know what we were doing either. We were just happy that it was working.
It was cool. It was so cool.
So it's funny because that was a very similar situation to Boom, where you had a little bit of, I mean, it wasn't as big as Boom, but you had mapping, and then you had the screen as well. You're somebody who's played both. Like, what is your take on this? I know it's like a little bit of a contentious topic, but what do you feel about like the difference of mapping and LED visuals? Where is the strengths? Where is the weaknesses?
I mean, they both have their aspects that are awesome. I think that like the projection, the weaknesses for projection can come in if you don't have the right gear, you don't have strong enough projectors to hit it and light it up enough, or if you're competing with too many lights in the room, it kind of makes projectors not as ideal. And that's where LED walls come into play. It's in such a great aspect is, I mean, no matter how bright the lights are, the only thing that kind of messes with an LED wall is haze. So as long as the haze isn't too bad, I mean, an LED wall, you're going to be able to see it no matter what.
Yeah.
However, that being said, the things that you can do with projections on a structure like at Boom, like the things that they do there, that was my first attempt at a large scale projection mapping that wasn't like, that wasn't like just a straight like curved wall or something. That was the first time I had to do something that was a huge structure and very intricate. So making the content and stuff, I remember I called you for that too. I was like, how do I do it? So
it's a little bit of
and there it is. It's so beautiful. And it just allowed me a whole different aspect of expressing myself that I didn't expect. Because I'd never worked on a stage like that. And I made a lot of my content to have a matching inside with a matching outside. And I got to play with David one night from Datagramma. Shout out to David. One of the most talented people I know, for sure. And somehow he flies under the radar.
He doesn't get enough recognition, for sure not.
I know. I feel like not enough people know who he is. He's so incredibly talented.
But he's
that's not to take away from the rest of their crew, because everyone on Datagramma is incredible.
Amazing. He's the type of guy though that doesn't really care. He's just like he's in it to just do it.
He's in it for the love of the game, and that's what I really love about him. Oh, nice! This is me, David, and that's me, David, and Diego playing together.
Hell yeah!
And so I'm controlling the back wall. Diogo, sorry, I know. I got so yelled at Boom for pronouncing everyone's name
it's
so
fucking
wrong.
Portuguese names. It's the hardest names to say.
Oh, dude. I know, and I'm Cuban. I'm like, I want to say them the Cuban way. I remember I went to go find his brother at one point, and I said his name like 6 times, and someone was looking at me like, who? And then I said it slightly different, and they were like, that guy, okay. All right. But so that night I played with them for like 7 hours on that stage that night. But so David was nice enough. He let me control the whole thing for a few hours, where I was doing the outside and the back screen.
Nice.
And allowed me to make so many different looks that I wouldn't have even really thought about.
Right.
And it's just cool having another visual aspect to play with. Even like in these videos, when they're controlling the outside, it was fun to not only match to music, but I had to match what they were doing. And
it's like you're not matching to lights, you're matching to actual visuals, which makes it
right,
expressive and more fun.
It's a different challenge, and I really liked it. And I hope that we see more of this integration of like a big stage here in the States, because it seems that we don't see it that often here.
It's not as popular.
So
and you know what really bumps me out is when they do. This is the Martin Stibbling one, right? I just want.
Yeah, when they do this one, I'm controlling the inside and outside for this one.
Hell yeah! When they do stages here and they do mapping on the stages, it's never as intricate and it's always very simple and it's almost like a frame around the screen.
It's always a frame,
which is cool. I appreciate it and I like it, but it's not what mapping is. You know, you need to have structural pieces. You need to have different lines.
I mean,
you can
this stage was unlike.
This stage was different.
So
this
cool.
is never. I've never done a stage like this where you have the sides as well. Is that the morning? Is this the morning?
Yeah, that's morning. Yeah, you could see it. We were playing. So that's the thing about. We were talking about sleep deprivation at Boom. Yeah, you can see all the light coming in through the tent. It was bright outside because, like, you don't stop playing till 8 or 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
By the time it's 8 or 9 a.m., the sun's up. It's already 100 degrees, and you're like, how am I going to go to sleep now?
Yeah.
But, I mean, those are the type of things that I wouldn't trade that for the world. Being able to have an opportunity to go to Boom and do that. I mean, I can't thank Joao enough for inviting me out.
Yeah, me too. I feel the same way.
He really made me feel welcome there too, because especially when I was walking into that, I was like, I've been to several events before and played many events before that I was like, oh, this is the VJ Olympics. Like, this is huge. Like, everyone here is so talented. But stepping into that one, I was like, I felt like the smallest fish in the biggest pond. I was like, everyone playing that event is so massively talented and like internationally known.
Yeah.
I felt very, like the small fish in a big pond. But you all made me feel so welcome. And that was an experience I wouldn't trade for anything. That was incredible.
I loved it too. And now you're part of that crew, so now you're the same on the same level.
And that's the thing, though. I don't ever think of myself on the same level still.
Oh, that's a good thing.
I know.
Being humble is good. The thing that bummed me out the most about Boom is funny because that's what you're saying of like being able to control the inside and outside. I made a few scenes that were supposed to go from the inside to the
back.
mapping, but unfortunately, the way that it was set up didn't allow that to happen. I tried the first hour we were VJing. I tried doing it, but there was an issue with the output and it was an issue with the input actually. It was very sad, and I was very upset, but the rest of it was great, so it was okay.
But that's a part of this job that I feel like people don't understand enough. Is I'm like the technical headache that happens before a show, every single show.
So much stress.
So it's every single show.
Yeah.
There's always, it never goes exactly the way you want.
Especially when it's bigger shows where you're not running the show. Like, I've
there's a lot of
underground scene. Ton of people involved. And like when you're setting up a stage yourself, when you're mapping a stage yourself, when you're doing like the mistakes that you run into or the issues you run into, you can fix them the way that you're going to be okay with. When you run into it in a bigger production, you don't have any control, and you're hoping that whatever the fixes that they make are not going to fuck up your show.
Work.
Yeah,
it's going to work for you.
It's going to work for you. Yeah. So it's a very interesting game, and I'm so like that's I think a good VJ is somebody who is malleable and can make changes on the fly. And
Yeah,
you know, a big
that's
lesson
the
that I
name
had
of this
from
game.
definitely is being able to roll with the punches. A big lesson that I had from Boom that year was, okay, I wanted to play my own show with my own stuff, but because I couldn't, I had to I had to collaborate with other people, and it was such a nice experience. You know, first of all, obviously, I get to collaborate with like the best in the world.
Right.
You know, Julius Horstash
No,
and fucking
which
Martin
that was an
Stebbing.
incredible set. Getting to watch you two with Symbolico. Oh,
It was so nice.
it was incredible.
And
so that made my weekend, and that was the start of Boom.
it was
the first set.
yeah. So that was like just like that learning experience of like, you know, being able to roll with the punches is always. I love that about VJing. You know, it's constant evolving.
Yes. And there's something that kind of like it kind of builds off of what you're saying a little bit, but there's a little bit of something that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. But there's like so many like little rules I've learned from VJing about like front of house rules, and they're pretty important. I mean, just like the main thing is during those technical issues that you're having, you have to stay calm. I mean, if you're the frantic person in front of house, it makes it difficult for everybody else.
And everybody remembers it too. Everybody remembers it.
Yeah, you don't ever be the person that's freaking out in front of house, even when you're having the fucking worst issue you can imagine. And it can be a headache. You have to keep moving forward and you have to stay calm, because that's the only way you're going to resolve it. If you're freaking out, it's going to make everybody's life more difficult.
Yeah.
And I mean, being the happy, calm person in front of house is pretty important.
It also sets an example for everybody else there.
Right. It sets an example. And I mean, at the end of the day, yes, these are parties and yes, they're fun, but this is my job. This is what I do. And I want to be professional at work. And so I feel like the people that I really gel with are the ones that kind of go about, oops, sorry, it was falling, kind of go about it the same way and have the same respect for VJing that I have. It is a job and it's very fun. Don't get me wrong, but I take it with the utmost respect and with all my like seriousness that I can, because I want to continue to do this. And the only way I can continue to do this and make a living off of it is if I really commit and put everything into it. So, I mean, I have people ask me if when I'm playing, if I do drugs or anything like that. And to be honest, I don't even really do drugs outside of
pussy.
Like, I do. I mean,
I'm kidding. I don't do drugs either.
I smoke weed, but like it's one of those things where it's like I don't know. The art is people think it's always inspired by a drug or something, or that's what gets you into the flow state. And I'm like, it's quite the opposite. I'm like, when I'm working, I'm like, that's the most sober I can be, because I'm like, I need to be on point. You can't be dealing with all these technical issues and be the person who's like falling all over the place. Dude, and you run into that at shows. You do.
Of course.
I mean,
I think it's natural. I think it's natural.
The nature of the industry.
Yeah.
Right. It's a party.
It's a party.
But that's also, it's balancing that. But when I'm nervous, I do tell myself, I'm like, hey, this is just a party.
Yeah.
Like, why are you so nervous? Like,
it's true.
And so it's like an ebb and flow between the two of being like, this is a party, but this is also my job. So
yeah. Well, that's why you've managed to go so far and become so successful in your career, is because of what you were saying of the level-headedness, the focus, the importance, the putting yourself. If you're not putting yourself on a pedestal because you're important, you're putting yourself on a pedestal because what you're doing is important to the people that are there. If the screen goes black or if the visuals suck, people are not going to have as much of a good time as they would if
you can ruin someone's time.
Yeah, you can ruin some time easily.
But you can also really make someone's time. You can also make someone's time, which is awesome.
Too,
and
right?
that's, I mean, look, man, just put your effort into it and you're gonna make someone really happy. That's just the best advice I can give to people that want to VJ is just go the extra step to put that little effort on it and put your own little flair on it, and people will notice. It may not be right away, but people will notice, and just keep doing it.
I couldn't agree more, and I think it's a beautiful place to end this. We've been going for a while. Matt, I am so grateful for you to be here. I'm so grateful for your friendship, for your artistry, for your creativity, for your inspiration. I feel super inspired right now.
Me too.
And I'm so grateful for our friendship. And you're the first live visual set on the podcast. So,
let's go.
Let's fucking go. That was a good one. Thank you so much to Mickman for letting us use his music. Thank you so much to Matt the Smash for the intro, outro music. Thank you to Matt for doing this episode with me. And I hope you guys enjoy, and see you next week.